know if anyone's going to be in here. Number one, because I have a really small channel. Number two, because I didn't really plan to go live and haven't communicated with anyone. And I'm apologize for any background noise. I have my family around and kind of doing stuff. But I just really felt the need to go live right now and address something that concerns me. I was just in the chat of a live stream and creator, and a caller, there was a caller who called in, and this caller proceeded to disclose personal health information of a person that they said that they know personally in their family. I'll go ahead and be specific. This caller, who did not mention their name, a male caller, stated that Feisty, whose real name is Josh Mean, who is an interviewee on I'm sorry, Atlanta Street Interviews, is living with HIV or is HIV positive, and that she has been HIV positive for approximately 22 or 23 years, and that he is aware of it. Um, After he called in and shared her personal information, if this is true, next, there were people in the chat and there were people calling in saying all types of ignorant and insensitive things about HIV, which is what, and about Feisty, which is what prompted me to spark this live. Thank you. I see there's a few people here. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you being here. If you could share this with others, just to inform them, because I think we need to dispel stigma and make sure people have accurate information. I think that regardless of how you feel about Feisty, regardless of how you feel about Atlanta Street Interviews or Marcus, we need to be accurate. So the first thing I want to say is this: caller, I have no idea who you are, and I've never met Feisty. I haven't been to Atlanta in, like, I don't know, 5 years. So I don't even think she was living there at the time. But you are a disgusting human being for just for clout or just to be gossipy or whatever, for calling into a YouTube channel live show to disclose to everyone that she has HIV. That was none of our business. That none of us needed to know anything about that. That is her personal health business, if that's true. We don't even know if it's true, but let's say that it is. Let's say that she's been living with HIV since she was a young teen. I'm sorry, I think she's 31, since she was a young girl. So we've already been told, Feisty already let us know about the sexual abuse she experienced when she was young. So we don't even know if she's 31 years old and she's been HIV positive since she was a young child. That tells me that she acquired HIV in a non-consensual manner. That lets me know that she is a survivor of horrendous abuse. And that in itself should warrant respect, privacy, and dignity. And so, if since out of your mouth, she's had it for this many years, she's had it since she was a little girl, still in elementary school. So, let's talk about that. How disgusting you are to reveal that, if it's even legal to do so. But let's back up away from that. Let's assume that it's the truth. People were saying, oh, that's why she's so skinny. That's why her skin is like this, that, and the other. That's where, the girl has lupus and she has eczema. There are people living with HIV all around you. Wherever you are, whomever you are that's listening, most likely there's some physician in in the clinic that where you, or doctor's office, the practice where you go. One of those physicians might be HIV positive. Maybe wherever, if you have a team of attorneys that you work with, or if you've gotten legal services before, one of those attorneys or partners is living with HIV. When you go out to eat, whether it's fast food or it's a high-end restaurant, one of those people working in that restaurant or more, the manager, the server, the person answering the phone, the person, bus boy, or I don't know what the gender neutral term is living with HIV. When your children go to school, somebody in that school, teacher, principal, administrator, someone there is living with HIV. The janitor that cleans the hotel you stay in, or the person taking the the money at the front desk or whatever when you're on vacation, might be living with HIV. HIV does not have a look. There are a number of people living with HIV in this world. Some of them are open about it, some of them are not. You would never know. So you cannot look. Feisty has been homeless for nearly a year. She barely sleeps. She drinks a lot. She uses substances. She doesn't eat well. She doesn't take care of herself. She wears makeup that's multiple shades that does not seem to match her complexion. And therefore, there's any number of reasons why she could look the way she looks that has nothing to do with HIV. So that is a ridiculous thing to say. But let's take her appearance out of it. HIV, if she is living with HIV and she is adherent to a medication regimen and is undetectable, she cannot transmit HIV to anybody. Not to a sex partner, not to 500 sex partners, not to a baby in her womb, not to a person that she falls down and they help her up off the ground and she's got some scratches on her. Nobody. So she can do spicy content. She can lick up all the Kelseys and Quitas on the planet. It is, please do your research. Look at credible medical sources. I know people are lazy these days and they just like to ask a question to Chat GPT and that's that. But hopefully even that will give you credible information. It is possible, but so negligible, almost extremely rare. Look at the data. Look at the many, many, many peer-reviewed articles. The obtaining, acquiring HIV from someone performing oral sex on you is almost impossible. Um, in fact, even acquiring HIV through vaginal sex is very rare. Now, most women living with HIV obtained it through a male partner. What is a lot of what is driving the HIV epidemic in North America, primarily in the United States, is men who have sex with men, and a lot of it in young men of color who are, people might call them DL or down low or whatever, or sexual fluidity. It's also driven by a lot of drug use, which for some substances increase libido, or people may be more likely to have transactional sex acts for money. But the vaginal biome is protective in and of itself. But again, it is not impossible. No one is saying it's impossible. But if she's adherent to a medication regimen, there are medications that for over 20 years now they've had once a day combination medication regimens. They have injectable treatment in which you can take a medication and not need it for another month or two for HIV treatment. And there are tons of different ways to protect yourself from acquiring HIV from other partners. You can be on PrEP if you want. And then there's even other things that you can take. I can't remember the name of the medication now, but it's a long acting form of PrEP, so you don't even have to take it daily. Furthermore, there's even what they call post exposure prophylaxis. This is what they give to people who have been sexually assaulted because you have no idea if the person sexually assaulted you, what they might have. This is what they give to people who have had some kind of medical exposure, maybe a needle stick or what have you. So there is no people contract HIV because they are having relations. So either through needle use, because there's a lot of, the opioid epidemic and so forth. There's a lot of injection and intravenous drug users who are not using, who are sharing needles with other people, who are reusing needles, using blunt needles, not cleaning them out, et cetera, and not knowing who they're sharing them with. But also if you are having sexual relations with a person with a high viral load, so usually a person who either has no idea that they are living with HIV, or a person who knows and just doesn't care and is taking no medication whatsoever and has a high viral load. That is how you contract HIV. If she has had HIV allegedly since she was a little girl, then first of all, we should not shame her. To say, oh, she passed it to Marcus, she passed it to this person, she passed it to Polo, that is the most ridiculous thing that I've heard in my life. Unless she is walking around here with an extremely high viral load and is having insertive or penetrative, I can't say the word today, I'm sorry, I'm tripping all over my words, I'm so angry about what I heard, but having receptive anal sex and has a high viral load with no protection, with no prophylaxis, no condom, whatever, then, and the person is not on PrEP or whatever, then yes, maybe she could potentially be a risk for someone contracting HIV from her. But performing oral sex, receiving oral sex, and engaging in vaginal sex, um, is the oral sex is almost no risk, almost zero. The vaginal sex is very minimal. The anal sex is certainly higher, significantly higher. But again, if she is adherent to a medication regimen, which most pediatric HIV, individual patients are, then her viral she would have had to she would have had to be off meds for a significant amount of time for her viral load to increase enough for her to be able to transmit in the first place. I was disgusted and horrified by seeing people in the chat saying all these things. And then, of course, there's a disgusting predator in the street sector who's always going around saying gross things in general about other people's genitalia and other things, making all of these comments. Feisty has enough problems. She's not taking care of her children. She's irresponsible. She's promiscuous. She has a substance use issue. All kinds of things are going on with this woman. But first of all, let's not put stuff on her. We don't know her serostatus. We have no idea what her serostatus is. But let's say we now know it, thanks to this person who felt the need to tell us her personal business. And and so the freak what? Who cares? Are you going to go sleep with her? Are you? I just felt like this is 2026. Like I'm an 80s baby. I feel like I'm growing up hearing the foolishness that we heard when I was, back then when HIV was more of considered more of a death sentence. We are, it, this is crazy to me. People who are living with HIV don't even qualify for like SSI and all those types of things because it's not considered a death sentence anymore. There was a long time ago where it was automatically, you were, because of all the opportunistic infections and all of the other health issues, and because you were not thought to live long, that you would basically qualify immediately for disability. Now they're like, no, go work. And so folks who got that type 2 diabetes or morbid obesity are sicker than you. This is a chronic illness as far as and not to say that there aren't health challenges, not to say that there aren't things that people who are living with HIV may be predisposed to, cardiac issues and so forth, joint issues. Not to say that if you don't have it, if your HIV status is negative, that you don't want to keep it that way. Certainly you do. But people living with HIV are getting married, having babies, having happy, healthy, condom free, vigorous, enjoyable sex lives with their partners, making change in this world. And we are still in 2026 talking about HIV like this is the freaking 90s or the 80s. This is sick and disgusting. And I really encourage you again, all of us need to be doing better, but particularly since there's a lot of people who are Black people in the street sector. But again, you can be of any background, any race. But I'll say Black people do better. Human beings, people in general, do better overall if you aren't contributing to her health care, to making her to helping her live a healthier life, then I don't think I don't think it's our business to be talking about her HIV status. But even if we are, let's speak accurately about it. You are not going to get it. HIV is not transmitted by saliva, by sweat, by casual contact, and even by many forms of intimate contact. Again, unless again you have an extremely high viral load. So let's make sense for the love of God. Let's not sound like a bunch of ignorant buffoons because any one of your favorite actors, writers, musicians, directors, architects, researchers, any number of them could have any number of health conditions that you are unaware of because that's their personal business. Just be accurate. Again, I don't care how you feel about Feisty. I don't care how you feel about Marcus. I don't care how you feel about Polo. But I believe that we should be better than that. We should be we should be sharing information. We should, if we're going to talk about something, it should be talked about in an informed way where we don't sound like buffoons. But again, that was what was the purpose of telling us that? So you're telling us a 31-year-old contracted HIV again when she was in elementary school. So why didn't you tell us about who was convicted for sexually assaulting her or whatever they did to give it to her? Why didn't you tell us about that? Why didn't you tell us about the therapy that she probably had to undergo because now she had to live with this thing that changed her life? Why didn't you tell us about how her three beautiful babies, although she's not raising a single one of them, but her sons and her daughter are HIV negative, as is her ex husband, as is her ex boyfriend, as is probably the majority of her partners. Because again, You equals you, undetectable equals untransmittable, untransmissible. Why didn't you talk about that instead of spreading stigma? You should be ashamed of yourself. Anyone who goes with this disgusting narrative should be ashamed of themselves. And um I'm sorry, I've been missing the chat because I'm just ranting. I'm just so annoyed with this. I spent several years involved with a lot of different forms of research. Now I do mostly like disability research and autism and developmental disability research. But for many years, I was involved in HIV research as a community advocate. I actually co-chaired the largest and oldest HIV clinical trials network in the globe. It spans, I believe, 57 countries, numerous continents. It's what was responsible for what we call the quote unquote HIV cure, the few cases of eradication, a lot of the medications that you see today, a number of things. I, um, I know and love many people who are living with HIV, and I just find it disgusting and horrifying that in 2026 we're still talking about this in this stigmatizing way. Let's not forget that it wasn't many years, and it wasn't very long ago that people were saying very stigmatizing things about people who have the skin color that I have, and a number of people who were on that live stream have. How violent we are, or how stupid we are, or how uncivilized we are, or and how we need to, or how we deserve to be enslaved, or whatever. This blaming is just trash and disgusting, and we should be better than that. And I'm going to go ahead and end because I'm upset. So I'm probably not engaging well with the people here, but I'm going to leave this up. I just encourage you, please do some research. Check out credible sources, the Center for Disease Control, HIV.gov, AIDS map. There's whole publications that exist out there that talk about HIV and treatment and medication and issues. Us is one of them. Um, I, I can't believe. I'm so sorry, y'all. I can't remember. HIV plus is another. There are a number of things. But please do your research before you go around saying things to harm people. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. I appreciate. I see a lot of you coming through, and you've made great comments, and I appreciate what you've had to share. Thank you so much.